in to KofiPaisaTV.com and get Spears of the Mossy Volume 1 by Kofi Paisa Research Team. From Spears the Pen Volume 2 by Kofi Paisa Research Team. Spiritual Combat Volume 3 by Kofi Paisa Research Team. One Night Before Bed by Any Harek Shawn Calfunny. Kalawa's Trip to the Motherland by Kofi Paisa. From Cocaine to Consciousness by Any Harek Shawn Calfunny. As I learned, we all learn by Kofi Paisa. Also, if you want fresh merch, go to our online store, Family Connect Apparel, and get all the brands. Also, get our 54 deck of quiz and educational cards available now on KofiPaisaTV.com.
ETM Hotel, Rennie, Shawn. Welcome in peace. My name is Shawn. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to Science with Shawn. This afternoon, we got Brother Chavis in the building with us. We're going to build a little bit and talk about the recent information regarding the Johnson & Johnson EAU and approval. First off, we've actually been sitting on this information for a few days, and we've been eager to talk about it. We just haven't had the time. So now that we got the time, we actually going to get straight into the bill. So what I want y'all to do is I want you to like the show, share the show, tell a friend. Let's get some people in the building. And we're actually going to make this a very impactful learning lesson for everyone. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and ask Brother Chavis to unmute, introduce himself, speak to the clip. You're on mute, bro. Unmute your mic. I unmuted it.
All right. What's going down? It's Brother Chavis. Today we're gonna get into some stuff, some research methodology I learned in my in my online course that assists with how I already get down, and I just thought it would be beneficial to people to learn how to analyze data. And we're gonna start. You want me to start it?
Nah, not just yet. Still sharing the show right now. So before we get into that, man, I'm gonna play a little bit of the interview from NPR regarding the Johnson & Johnson data. Well, no, let me see if I want to do that first. Nah, I don't want to do that. Let's just do this real quick. So in the description is the link to the Johnson & Johnson download. So everybody, if you want access to the same FDA-approved information that we did with Moderna and Pfizer, that information will be available to you. Also, the Johnson & Johnson info. But I need y'all to come on, man, like the show, share the show. You know what I'm saying? Get us some people in the building, because I want y'all to see it. Not come in late. I want y'all to see it, and even the people who catching the replay. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Real quick shout outs. Nunu was first. Sweet taking the building, Robert Grand. Donnie was good. Yeah, man, thumb up the show, man. Like the show, share the show. We really trying to get it in for the people. This is all about the people. We trying to advise and inform and educate our people. We sharing what the experts got. So this is really, really, really a big deal. I know it's all of a sudden, and y'all might be busy in y'all other lives and got things going on, but we really need to get this information out to y'all. So just give me a few more minutes, and yeah, I'm gonna let you go first. Just to share how you doing. Damien was good, Mika was good, Teddy was good, Dermot was good. Good afternoon, everybody. Again, man, this information is impactful and useful for all our people. We need to know this stuff. This is stuff that we need to know. We need to be on top of. We need to have a conversation about. We need to be able to sit down and come to some type of agreement or whatever we need to do, or some type of understanding regarding this information. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to the brother. You're still sharing your screen, so I'm going to add it to the screen, and then I'm going to go full verse there. And it's this on your slide that says the ladder of influence.
All right. So this is
Blowing up already.
scam. That's the scammers, man. Scammers calling me. Put that on mute. But this is a method to analyze data that I learned. I thought it was, you know what I'm saying, like I said, real beneficial. It says the latter inference, our understanding often seem obvious to us, as it is as if they were given by a situation itself. But people can come to very different understandings depending on what the aspects of the situation they notice and how they interpret what is going on. The latter inference is a model of the steps we use to make sense of situations in order to act. It helps us to think about our thinking and to coordinate our thinking with others to add. Oh, I forgot to
You went on mute.
delete that shit. It's all right. What do? We look at the available data and we go on all the way up. You select the data, you make interpretations, you draw conclusions, and you take actions. And you come back down, you do the same thing. When you get back up there, you check I guess you reinforce your context, beliefs, values, influence, and this is a constant cycle that you should go about. We're gonna apply it. We have to all the available data, all the directly observable data that surround us in daily life, including the people's words, tones of voice, and the body movement statistical results from a marketing survey, account reports, and so on. So with our available data, we're looking at this vaccine. What vaccine? The Janssen 8026 CoV-2S COVID-19 vaccine. It's 4.1 vaccine composition, dosing regimen. The Janssen 8026 CoV-2S vaccine is a colorless, slightly yellow, clear to very opalescent sterile suspension for intramuscular injection. So that's in our arm. The vaccine consists of a replication incompetent recombinant adenovirus type 26 8026 vector expressing the severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2. SARS-CoV-2 spike S protein is in a stabilized conformation. The vaccine also contains the following inactive ingredients. So would people be concerned as to what the ingredients are? It's not a secret. All you got to do is get that document. You can download it. I think Shawn put it on the link. But what's in there? Citric acid, monohydrate, trisodium citrate, dihydrate, ethanol, 2-hydroxyphenyl cyclodextrin, HBCD, polysorbate 80, sodium chloride, sodium hydroxide, and hydrochloric acid. The 8026 vector expressing the SARS-CoV-2 protein is grown in per C6 TET-R cell line in media containing amino cells and no animal-derived proteins. So there's that. Yes, sir.
So what you're reading right now is all the ingredients in the vaccine. Is this correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. I
thought that was interesting. They got that in there. It's not hidden.
All right. So real quick, just for people who are paying attention or a little confused on what he's actually reading out, he's reading the actual ingredients specifically for the Johnson & Johnson adenovirus vaccine 1-shot. All right. So this 1-shot vaccine has more ingredients in it than the mRNA vaccines. And that can help propel what that one-shot stat that we're going to get. So again, if you're just coming in, because I do see some new faces, I appreciate you showing up. Miss McCrae, peace to you, sister. I think you might have switched your profile from the other one. Yep, Shay. Okay, all right. So I got you. Renikia, if I said that right, correct me if I'm wrong.
That's my mama, probably.
Probably, yep. Okay, yeah, she in the building. McCrae, yep.
In the building. So,
Yeah.
hey, mama. Hey.
Yeah. Mama here. So everybody, again, he is reading the ingredients to Johnson & Johnson's vaccine. All right, they call it the Janssen AD26 Code 2S. That's how it's labeled as the vaccine. All right, bro, keep building.
All right, it says after propagation, the vaccine is processed through several purification steps, formulated with inactive ingredient. Inactive. Let's make sure we pay inactive ingredients and filled into vials. So that's everything as far as that available data that we have. We got that, so we got it. I thought that was something that was very, very important because I always hear people asking, what's in vaccine. Half the time we don't even know half. We don't know what. We know some of these things, but we don't. I don't know half this stuff myself. I can't tell you what it's in, and but I know apparently it helps prevent SARS-CoV-2. So it's important if you want to, take a screenshot and look them up. Be my guest. That would be, if that's what you concerned, and you may have some type of allergic reaction to one of them. I mean, this is important information to have. Moving on. Okay. Oh, let me go back. Where that thing went? There we go. All right. The 8026 COVID-2 vaccine is provided as a refrigerated suspension stored at 2 Celsius at 8 Celsius, 36 Fahrenheit to 46 Fahrenheit in a multi-dose vial containing 5 doses, 0.5 milliliters each. The vials should be protected from light. Unpunctured vials may be stored between 9 Celsius to 25 Celsius, 47 Fahrenheit to 77 Fahrenheit for up to 12 hours. After the first dose has been withdrawn, the vial should be held between 2 to 8 Celsius, 36 degrees to 46 Fahrenheit for up to 6 hours, or at room temperature, maximally 25 Celsius to 75/75 Fahrenheit for up to 2 hours. The vial should be discarded if the vaccine is not used within these times. 8026 is 5 times. This is what is this? Viral. I think it's viral prevention. I think that's what this stands for. God, is administered as a single intramuscular injection at a 0.5 milliliter dose. So that's how much it's going to be in that vial when you're getting your shot. That's how much they give you for a full dose.
Okay, so
this lady right here.
Chavis.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so go back.
Yeah.
Go back one slide. Real quick, because you're talking about the actual. You're telling us how much is being, right? So we need to understand, ladies and gentlemen, how much of this is being administered, and also what temperatures the vial survives in, right? Because temperature was a big deal with the mRNA vaccines. So this one can stand temperatures different from the mRNA vaccines because of the type of second generation vaccine that it is, right? This is something that people are more common with and seem to be more susceptible to based on the science or their understanding of what a vaccine is, because they're used to seeing adenoviruses in the vaccines, right? So the temperature is very important. They will discard it after the vaccine reaches a certain temperature, and they don't want to waste any of the vaccines. So it could be stored up to room temperature for 6 hours. And then, well, hold up. Yeah. And then once it reaches maximum temperature, which is 25 degrees Celsius or 77 degrees Fahrenheit, for up to 2 hours. And then, next thing you know, they got to discard the vaccine, because anything after that is it's not going to work. So we got to make sure we know that. We got to make sure that we're aware. So when we're asking these questions, that we're making a very informed decision when it's time to make that informed decision for a lot of us. And congratulations to Nunu. She's scheduled to handle her business on Monday. And you know what I'm saying? I got a message from Brother Kenneth. Brother Kenneth is received his first dose of Pfizer. I think it was Pfizer that he sent me a picture of. But we got a lot of things going on right now with a lot of people that are paying attention to Science with Shawn, who are getting their first dose really rapidly.
Shout out Maya Lisa. She just got hers too at the NRG, where they doing 6,000 a day. She got hers. She's a teacher. She got Pfizer as well. Shout out Aunt Lisa.
Yeah, and Charles, brother Charles got his. He got the
Charles too.
Yeah, Kenneth got the Moderna. Yeah, he sent me. I had to go check it, but Kenneth got the Moderna. So we're having more people step up and get vaccinated, and we're seeing a result of that. So let's keep building, bro, and then we'll what I'm saying, we'll get into the rest.
All right. So this lady right here is epidemiologist, I think locally here in Houston. She has a Facebook page that says your local epidemiologist. She you can subscribe and she'll send you emails of the latest updates. This is she helped me gloss. I use her as a source, and took notes because she already got me. She read the every single page, and I read everything I was taking notes of. I seen that she pretty much was on note, except for a couple things. But the major things, this is where she's quoting here. FDA meeting February 26th, where an external advisory group will meet to discuss and ultimately recommend or not recommend the Johnson & Johnson vaccine for emergency use in the U.S. This meeting is important for a couple of reasons. This is the first COVID-19 vaccine up that is not an mRNA vaccine. She says she's talking about the J&J vaccine. She leaves a link. I got the link at the end. If you want to check that out, she stays linked up, stays sourced up. That's why I stay fooling with it. This is the first vaccine with one dose. In preparation for the meeting this morning, the FDA released a 62-page document, and the sponsor, Johnson & Johnson, released a 118-page document. That's what we think he got in the link. So this is just part of the first step of looking at the available data and peeping what's going on. She gives a good summary of that right here. Okay, the next step is to select the data. Because we can't pay attention to all the available data, we sometimes make conscious choices about what data to select and what to ignore. More often, though, the selection process occurs subconsciously. Paraphrase the data. When the data we select have to do with human interaction, including spoken language, written communication, and gesture, we next put into our own unspoken words what the person is saying or doing. This is paraphrasing it. Paraphrasing occurs as we listen and is fundamental to how we interpret the meaning of people's actions. Name what is happening. The naming step continues the interpretation process by characterizing what is happening as belonging to a more general category. So that's the next step in the ladder inference. So here, we're going to follow that step, selecting the data. The data that we're selecting is this document, and here's a quick summary of what's going on in there. FDA released a 62-page document, and sponsor J&J released a document with trial details and results. This is the first time we, the public, have seen the clinical trial data. Yes, she says she read it all, and here are your cliff notes. The number of participants, a total of 43,783 people have had 2 months to follow up data and were included in the report. 21,895 in the vaccine group and 21,888 in the placebo group. So we know placebo group is the people that don't get no vaccine. That's the I think that's like mineral, some water or some, some saline or something. So they got that, and the other half got the vaccine. So only adults age 18 and over were included. This is different from the Pfizer. People with comorbidities were included. 40.8 of the sample. 60 plus years were with comorbidities were included. 28% of the sample. The co-primary endpoints were efficacy of a single dose of the vaccine to prevent centrally confirmed moderate to severe critical COVID-19 occurring, 1, at least 14 days after vaccination, and 2, at least 28 days after vaccination in the study participants without evidence of prior SARS-CoV-2 infection at baseline. Evaluation of the co-primary endpoints was triggered by pre-specified criteria. The first 50% of the participants have at least 2 months of the follow-up after vaccination, at least 42 moderate to severe critical cases of COVID-19 with onset at least 28 days after vaccination, at least 6 cases of COVID-19 among participants that's greater than 60 plus of years age, onset greater than 28 days after vaccination, at least 5 severe critical cases of COVID-19 in the placebo group, onset after greater than 20 days after vaccination with a favorable vaccine to placebo split for both co-primary endpoints. The protocol specified final analysis will be performed when the last participant completes the visit 12 months post-vaccination of discontinuous earlier. The end of the study analysis will be performed when all participants have completed the visit 24 months post-vaccination or discontinue earlier. The expected duration of the study participation is approximately 25 months. So this is basically just breaking down what is going, like how they setting up the study, who's in it, and how long it's going to last. And basically it's ongoing. I thought it was interesting just to note the case definitions. The case definitions for moderate COVID-19 was a SARS-CoV-2 positive RT-PCR or molecular test result from any available respiratory tract sample, e.g. nasal, throat, sputum, I don't know what that is, saliva, or other sample at any time during the course of observation. So they just not just making up data, they using the lab to confirm whether someone has COVID or not, whether they test positive with the PCR or molecular test results. So the way they're defining this is any one of the following new worsening or signs or symptoms, any 2 of the following new worsening signs or symptoms, respiratory rate greater than 20 breaths per minute, I think, abnormal saturation of oxygen, but still greater than 93% on room air at sea level, clinical or radiological evidence of pneumonia, radiological evidence of deep vein thrombosis, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, or fever greater than 38 Celsius or greater than 104 Fahrenheit, heart rate. Can't see. Heart rate of shit. Can't see that. Heart rate 90, greater than 90 beats per minute. Shaking, chills, or I think they're supposed to say something else. Some sore throat, cough, malaise as evidence of loss of appetite, fatigue, physical weakness, and or feeling unwell, headache, muscle pain, gastronomical symptom, gastrointestinal symptoms, diarrhea, vomiting, nausea, abdominal pain, new or changing olfactory or taste disorders, red or bruising looking feet or toes. So that's the COVID toe. The case definition for severe critical COVID-19 was PCR molecular test positive. That was going on, I think, to the next. But if you notice, a lot of these symptoms are very similar to the symptoms that you get when you get the shot. You got the fatigue, weakness, chills, headache, muscle pain. So keep that in mind when you get a shot. And people is talking about side effects and whatnot, like it's don't make it. This is some new science going on. This is how it works. This is how your immune system responds to pathogens or partial pieces of pathogens. So moving on. Emphasis described above at any. This is describing the clinical COVID-19. Examples described above and any one of the following at any time during the course of observation. Clinical signs at rest, indicative of severe systemic illness, respiratory rate greater than 30 breaths per minute, heart rate greater than 125 beats per minute, oxygen saturation less than 93% on room air at sea level, or partial pressure of oxygen, fractional of inspired oxygen less than 30. I don't know what that is. I ain't gonna lie. Respiratory failure, defined as needing high flow oxygen, non-invasive ventilation, mechanical ventilation, or extracorporeal membrane oxygenation. Evidence of shock, defined as systolic blood pressure less than 90 millisomethings. Systolic, I think that's your blood pressure. I remember seeing that because I had the issue. Diastolic blood pressure less than 60 some, or requiring vasopressor. Significant acute renal, hepatic, or neurologic dysfunction, admission to ICU, death. All cases meeting the severe critical criteria were adjudicated by a blindfolded clinical severity adjudication community to determine if the case was severe / critical in their judgment. So this is directly from the document. Efficacy 66.9% after 14 days of vaccination, 66.1% after 28 days. Efficacy didn't meaningful differ by age, sex, race, ethnicity, or comorbidity. Efficacy did differ by region, but still looks good. This is from the lady Caitlin, the epidemiologist. 72% in U.S., 64% versus South African variant, 61% versus the Latin American variant. This is likely due to the variants. Demographic. I got this from out of there. I think it's demographic characteristics of participants with moderate to severe critical COVID-19, including non-centrally confirmed cases with onset at least 14 days after vaccination. I went straight to the Black people because I know that's who we pretty much catering toward, because that's who I'm concerned about. So we got this is what we all really care about. The Black or African American. The top number is going to be the people right here who took it, who took the vaccine. The bottom number is for the United States. So for the Black people, it was 37%. 37 people and 21.4%. Then for the United States in general, it's 51 and 29.5. For the placebo, 101. So, and then for the overall United States, 196 people. So that's 196 who got COVID, I think, and 51 versus 51 who took the vaccine. So that's, you do the math. So all participants is 138 altogether, Black people, and 247 for the United States that I guess took that was infected. Severe disease death, COVID-19 cases needing medical intervention like ventilation or ICU admission. 0 in the vaccine group. 5 in the
Chavis.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second. Because what I wanted to do is I wanted to get into I was gonna break it down specifically regarding the actual deaths. How many more slides you got?
I can't even see how many it's I had to back out on this thing. I don't know how to do that.
No, you gotta back out. All right, go ahead.
I can just read through them hoes real fast.
Nah. People will miss it. People will miss it.
Right. Well, this is right, real important information right here too, though. So, COVID-19 case. These are the analysis. COVID-19 cases needing medical intervention like ventilation or ICU admission. 0 in the vaccine group. 5 in the placebo group. So this is how they determine whether something works or not. So you got 5 people that didn't have no vaccine. They got that. They needed medical intervention. So COVID-19 related deaths. 0 in the vaccine group. 7 in the placebo group. Asymptomatic disease.
Hold on. Don't go beyond that. So stop
right here. Stay right here.
Just stop. Just hold on 1 second. So I wanna be clear. I'm gonna unshare your screen real quick. Now just leave it up because I'm gonna bring it back.
Yeah.
I wanna be clear. Just give me a second. All right. So basically, he's taking all this information in the 62-page report, and it is administered in slides. Okay, we're dealing with the ethnicities of the people, so that were a part of this particular trial. All right, you had pretty much equally men and women across the board. It might have been a few more men than women in certain areas based on age. But the split went down. And as far as races, you had American, Alaskan, Indian, Asian, Black, Native Hawaiian, white, and then you had mixed race. You had Hispanics. You had some people that were either Hispanic, Latino, and then you had North America, Southern Africa, and Latin America that were all participants in the trials. All right, so that's a wide range. Out of all the participants in the trials, they age range between 18 to 59 years old in the first, in the mass of the group. And then from 60 and above, you had people that age range there. All right. You heard him mention comorbidity type earlier. I put the definition of comorbidity in the chat. However, you had people that had asthma, cancer, chronic kidney disease, COPD, serious heart conditions, HIV, hypertension, immunocompromised from blood transplant, liver disease, neurologic conditions, and obesity. That's a wide range of what the world looks like. as far as health conditions. You know, not everybody has, you know, HIV, which is a good thing, but you know, there's a population of people that actually do have it, and you wanna know that if they can get vaccinated because, you know, it's an immune issue with the HIV. And I forgot the last one, type 2 diabetes. Out of all the participants, right? We go over, we out of all the participants, we go over and we deal with the symptomatic and asymptomatic. But you also deal with who's having reactions and who's not having reactions. And the first thing that he started to mention is, let me get to my page. I think it's 39. 37, 39. All right. So 39. See, I got it memorized. All right. So we talk about the adverse effects. What's happening in what group? There were no deaths related to the actual trials. However, you know, trial-related deaths, there were 0. However, in the vaccinated group, there were 3 deaths. Those 3 deaths were unrelated to the vaccine. All right. In the placebo group, okay, we got to slow it down. There was 16 deaths in the placebo. There was 7 of the deaths occurred between the ages of 18 and 59, and 9 of the deaths were people over 60 years of age. In the vaccinated group, the 3 deaths that occurred out of 21,000 people, 1 was in between 18 and 59, and 2 were over 60. That's from the vaccinated group. So you have 3 deaths in the vaccinated group, 16 in the placebo group. All right. So when we go to break down like the data for page 39, and we're looking at, for instance, the deaths, and you know, we can get to the cause of deaths because it's unrelated to the vaccine. They tell us specifically, like all the other trials, right? You have natural occurrences. Deaths don't stop because you're in a trial. You have natural deaths, heart attacks, car wrecks, accidents, things of that nature. Like those things actually happen. So there were 21,901 group, 21,885 in the placebo group. All right. So we're dealing with all the data right now. So I'm just trying to bring y'all up to speed on where he is on his slide, because we're talking about the vaccine deaths at this particular moment. And I'm putting it back on the screen, and then, you know, I'm gonna let them rock out a little bit more. Then we're going to get into some more of this particular data. You can go ahead, Chuck.
All right. So here I got quote her. She's talking about the asymptomatic disease. She said this is big. From day 1 through day 28 after vaccination, the vaccine doesn't have an impact against asymptomatic infection. However, after day 29, 74% efficacy against asymptomatic infection. So at a certain point, you don't have the efficacy is poor. And we can't even just necessarily, just based on that, they said that what they're saying, just what she quoting her, it didn't have an impact against. But after 29 days, you got 74% against asymptomatic. So that's stopping transmission. That's what that's pretty much is saying. So dealing with the back in the, I think I went back to the document. Safety adverse reactions were reported at higher rates in the vaccine group, 55.1% compared to the placebo group, 35.1%, and at higher rates among younger compared to older participants. The most frequent reactions were headache versus placebo, 38.9% versus 23.7%, fatigue, 38.2 versus 21.5, and muscle aches, 33.2 versus 12.7, nausea 14.2 versus 9.7, and fever 9 versus 0.6. These rates are a bit lower compared to the Pfizer and Moderna rates. No reports of anaphylaxis. So in that whole, on both sides. Well, I don't think that's in just simply on they're saying none at all, no anaphylaxis so far. There were slight imbalances for the following rare severe events, which may be due to the vaccine. Urticaria, which is hives. I seen that, and I'm glad she elaborated on what that was, so I didn't have to look it up. It was 5 versus 1, so there is an allergic reaction that you could have where you can get hives. It's rare, but it can happen. And embolic thrombotic events, 15 in the vaccine versus 10 in the placebo. And tendonitis, ringing of the ears, is 6 versus 0 in the placebo. And Bell's palsy was balanced at 2 in the vaccine and 2 in the placebo. So that pretty much shows how regular that happens in real life and just randomly or whatever the case may be. You don't have to have no vaccine to get Bell's palsy, but it's still rare. So we'll continue. The local adverse reactions, solicited local ARs were reported at higher rates in vaccine recipients than placebo recipients. The proportions of participants reporting any local ARs were 50.2% and 50.2% and 19.4% in vaccine and placebo groups, respectively. The proportion reporting at least one grade 3 local AR were 0.7 and 0.2 in the vaccine and placebo, respectively. There were no reports of grade 4 local reactions in either group. The most frequently reported local AR was the injection site pain. So that's what the most, if you saying anything about side effects, that you can, you expect that. Expect injection site pain, reported at 48.6 of vaccine recipients and less than 0.1 of placebo recipients. Erythema, vaccine versus placebo, 7.3 versus 3.9, and swelling, 5.3 versus 1.6 were reported less frequently. All local ARs are reported more frequently among younger, from that which is specifically 18 through 59 years, than older, greater than 60 years participants. I think that's interesting because my wife, Big Mama, she took Moderna, and she was saying how y'all young folks is some crybabies because she took hers like a G, and she said it didn't hurt, but her husband, on the other hand, he cried about it. So that's shout out to Big Mama. Among participants in the vaccine groups, injection site pain was reported in 58.6 and 18 through 59-year-olds and 33. So this is repeating the same thing. And swelling were similarly reported at higher rates among younger and older participants in the vaccine group. Systemic adverse reactions, solicited systemic ARs, were reported at higher rates in the vaccine than placebo recipients. The proportion of participants reporting any systemic ARs were 55.1 in the vaccine group and 35.1 in the placebo. This proportion reporting at least one grade 3 systemic AR were 1.8 in the vaccine group and 0.6 in the placebo group. There were no reports of grade 4 systemic reactions in either group. The most frequently reported systemic ARs were headache, vaccine versus 38. So this is like repeating the same thing pretty much. So we move on to unsolicited adverse events of clinical interest. FDA conducted both broad and narrow standardized MedDR queries, SMQs, using FDA-developed software to evaluate unsolicited adverse events of clinical interest by searching preferred terms that could together represent various conditions, including but not limited to allergic, neurologic, inflammatory, vascular, and autoimmune disorders. Narrow searches were done to identify cases highly likely to be condition of interest, whereas broad searches were done to identify all possible cases. 10 SMQs, broad and narrow combined, were following were conducted at AE reported through the data cutoff date, requiring 2 months median follow-up, were collected through protocols specified collection methods as well as spontaneous reporting by study participants. So in the next rail of the latter inference is explain and evaluate what is happening. Having named what is happening, we then explain why it is happening by drawing our own stock of causal theories. We may also evaluate it as good or bad by drawing our own value system. So this is from the epidemiologist that's here in Houston, I think. So she says, bottom line, things are looking good, real good. This is a solid study. The vaccine works against severe disease and the new variants, and the vaccine will be easily disseminated into the masses. It's only one dose and has easier storage. I would be very surprised if this was not authorized for emergency use. This morning, we also learned that asymptomatic disease, a good indicator of transmission, is reduced with the vaccination. So, and for anybody, that's directly from an epidemiologist herself. She stay on the data like every day. So that pretty much kills whether it works against the vaccine. Does it work against the variant? Yes, it does. So next step is to decide what to do based on how we explain or evaluate what is happening and drawing our own repertoire of actions. We decide what to do. Basically, because the data was so solid, we see Johnson & Johnson presenting it to the FDA in hopes of approval, likely obtaining it based on their assessment. And I quote from in the beginning in the executive summary. On February 4th, 2021, Johnson Biotech Inc., the sponsor, submitted an emergency use EUA request to the FDA for investigational vaccine intended to prevent COVID-19 caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome, basically SARS-CoV-2. The vaccine, known as 8026-CoV-2S, is a replication incompetent adenovirus type 26. Proposed use under an EUA is an active immunization to prevent COVID-19 caused by SARS-CoV-2 in individual 18 years of age or older. The proposed dosing regimen is a single intramuscular injection of the dose level of 5 times 10 or 10 to the 10th power of, or that's what this stands for, viral particle. That's what that VP stands for. So in the safety summary, the information provided by the sponsor was adequate for review and to make conclusions about the safety of the 8026-CoV-2. The vaccine is in the context of the proposed indication and population intended use under EUA. The number of participants, phase 3 safety population, so 43,783, 21,000 with the vaccine, 21,000 with the placebo. It meets the expectation for efficacy in the FDA's guidance for industry development and licensure vaccines to prevent COVID-19. In June 2020, a subset of participants, 6,000, was followed by solicited reactions with 7 days following the vaccination, and
unsolicited reactions within 28 days following the vaccination. The demographic and baseline characteristics of the all enrolled population and safety subset were similar with respect to age and sex, but had imbalances with respect to race, baseline comorbidities, SARS-CoV-2 serologists, and geographic distribution. Says the last influence how we select data, interpret what is happening, and decide what to do. Our interpretations and decisions then feedback to to reinforce usually our assumptions, values, and beliefs. We act on the basis of our interpretations, and our actions affect what data is available to us. So our ways of understanding and acting in the world create a self-reinforcing system, insulating us from alternative ways of understanding. So that just basically explains what we just did, how we basically just analyzed, how we basically appeal to authority, deferred to authority, and we've seen that epidemiologist, we seen that she said it was good. Then we seen the conclusion from the FDA; they said it was good. So based off that, we could create our own off of what we also seen via the data. So this is another thing I thought was interesting: the pharmacovigilance activities. Janssen submitted a pharmacovigilance plan, PVP plan, to monitor safety concerns that could be associated with the Janssen COVID-19 vaccine. The sponsor identified vaccine-associated enhanced disease included vaccine-associated enhanced respiratory disease, anaphylactic reactions, including anaphylaxis and thrombotic events, and as important potential risk. Important missing information includes use during pregnancy and lactation, use in immunocompromised patients, use in patients with autoimmune or inflammatory disorders, use in frail patients with comorbidities, e.g. chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, diabetes, chronic neurological disease, and cardiovascular disorders, interaction with other vaccines, long-term safety, and use in pediatrics. The sponsor will conduct both passive and active surveillance activities for continued vaccines safety monitoring. Passive surveillance activities will include submitting spontaneous reports of the following events to the VAERS within 15 days. Serious adverse events regardless of attribution to the vaccination. Multi-system inflammatory syndrome, COVID-19 disease results in hospitalization or death. The sponsor will submit monthly safety reports containing a review of safety information required to contain received during the reporting intervals, as well as cumulative data. Each periodic safety report is required to contain descriptive information, which includes a narrative, summary, and analysis of adverse events submitted during the reporting interval, including interval cumulative accounts of age by groups, special populations, e.g. pregnant women, and adverse events of special interest, a narrative summary of anaphylaxis, analysis of vaccine administration errors, whether or not associated with an adverse event that were identified since the last reporting interval. So they're basically just saying that they have something set up. They're not just sending you out here and not keeping track of what's going on. They is watching very, very closely. This is an ongoing trial, so they, making sure they're doing the responsible thing and keeping track and keeping the science right. So the known benefits among recipients. We're gonna start there. You got something?
How many more slides you think you get at this point?
I think I'm almost done.
All right, go ahead.
I'm almost done. No benefits among recipients. The proposed vaccine relative to placebo are a reduction in the risk of confirmed COVID-19 occurring at least 14 days after vaccination, reduction in the risk of confirmed severe COVID-19, including reduction in including reduction in the risk of COVID-19 requiring medical intervention occurring at least 14 days after vaccination. Press it too many times. So the vaccine. Oh shit! My mouse. I'll be losing my mouse. Really, I need. Oh, there we go. Here we go. Try to keep track of interesting data that I've seen. Okay. All right. The vaccination regimen was effective in preventing PCR-confirmed COVID-19 vaccine. The vaccine was effective in preventing COVID-19 using a less restrictive definition of the disease and for more severe disease, including COVID-19 requiring medical intervention, considering all cases starting 14 days after vaccination. Efficacy findings were also generally consistent across evaluable subgroups, including by age, race, ethnicity, and risk for severe COVID-19. Although vaccine efficacy estimates appear to be lower in the subgroup of participants 60 years of age and older with comorbidities, the increase in vaccine efficacy estimates the narrowing of the CI was observed with inclusion of more cases, i.e. starting at 14 days post-vaccination, and the cases not yet centrally confirmed, indicating that the results seen potentially reflect imprecision associated with smaller numbers of cases. Additionally, case splits for the COVID-19 requiring medical attention among patients 60 years of age or older with comorbidities further support benefit the vaccine of the vaccine in this subgroup. Although a lower efficacy overall was observed in South Africa, where there was a predominance of the B135 lineage, during the time period of this study, vaccine efficacy against severe critical COVID-19 was similarly across the United States, South Africa, and Brazil. The vaccine is administered a single dose, which provides operational benefits to mass vaccination campaigns. So, and then unknown benefit data gaps, duration of the protection, as well as the analysis have a limited length of follow-up. It is not possible to assess sustained efficacy over a period longer than 2 months. The effectiveness in certain populations at higher risk of severe COVID-19, although the proportion of participants at high risk of severe COVID-19 is adequate for the overall evaluation of the safety and the available follow-up period. The subset of certain groups, such as immunocompromised individual, e.g., those with HIV/AIDS, are too small to evaluate efficacy outcomes. Effectiveness in individuals previously infected with SARS-CoV-2. Limited data suggests that individuals with prior SARS-CoV-2 infection can be at risk of COVID-19, i.g., 8026 CoV-2. For individuals with prior infection with SARS-CoV-2, there was a limited cases of study with COVID-19 among study participants with possible SARS-CoV-2 infection status at baseline. The study was not designed to assess the benefit in the individuals with prior SARS-CoV-2 infection effectiveness in pediatric populations, and no efficacy data are available from participants 17, 8, or younger. So this is just telling you all the stuff that's unknown. They got that in there in the FDA document as well. Yeah, I got more. Continuing evaluation of vaccine effectiveness following issuance of the EUA and licensure will be critical to address these uncertainties. Vaccine effectiveness against asymptomatic infection against available day 71 in serology data from a small subset of participants in a study with infrequent evaluations of serological and virological measurements are limited to access to assess the effect of the vaccine in preventing asymptomatic infection. There is uncertainty about the interpretation of these data, and definitive conclusions cannot be drawn at this time. Additional evaluations will be needed to assess the effect of the vaccine in prevent asymptomatic infection, including data from clinical trials from the vaccine's use post-authorization, including additional data to support the sensitivity of serologic and virologic surveillance methods. Vaccine effectiveness against long-term effects of COVID-19 disease. COVID-19 disease may have long-term effects on certain organs, and at present, it is not possible to assess whether the vaccine will have an impact on specific long-term sequelae of COVID-19 in individuals who are infected despite vaccination. Demonstrated high efficacy against symptomatic COVID-19 should translate to overall prevention of COVID-19 related sequelae in vaccinated populations, though it is possible that asymptomatic infections may not be prevented as effectively as symptomatic infections and may be associated with sequelae that are either late onset or undetected at the moment at the time of infection, e.g. myocarditis. Additional evaluation will be needed to assess the effect of the vaccine in preventing long-term effects of COVID-19, including data from clinical trials and from vaccine use post-authorization. Oh, shit. Vaccine effectiveness against mortality. A large number of individuals at high risk of COVID-19 and higher attack rates would be needed to confirm efficacy of the vaccine against mortality. However, the non-COVID vaccine, e.g. influenza, that are efficacious against disease have also been shown to prevent disease-associated death. So now we're going to move on to the benefits in preventing death should be evaluated in large observational studies following authorization. Vaccine effectiveness against transmission of SARS-CoV-2 data are limited to assess the effect of the vaccine against transmission of SARS-CoV-2 from individuals who are infected despite the vaccination. Demonstrate. This is like I'm reading some. I think I did. No, this is the same thing. It's just demonstrated high efficacy against symptomatic COVID-19 may translate to overall prevention of transmission in populations with high enough vaccine uptake. Though it is possible that if efficacy against asymptomatic infection were lower than efficacy against symptomatic infection, asymptomatic cases in combination with reduced mask wearing and social distance could result in significant continued transmission. So that's very, very important right there. Additional evaluation, including data from clinical trials and vaccine use post-authorization, will be needed to assess the effect of the vaccine in preventing virus shedding and transmission, in particular in individuals with asymptomatic infection and tendinitis 6-0, with many of the participants experiencing these events having predisposing risk factors. Data at this time are insufficient to determine the causal relationship between these events and vaccines. Severe adverse events were, while uncommon, 0.4 in both treatment groups, represented medical events that occur in general population at similar frequency as observed in the study of the reaction not classified as anaphylaxis, which was 1, severe and persistent injection site pain and paralysis, and GBS data are insufficient to determine a causal relationship to vaccination. No specific safety concerns were identified in subgroup analysis by age, race, ethnicity, medical comorbidities, comorbidities, or prior SARS-CoV-2 infection. So unknown risk data gaps. Safety in certain subpopulations. There are currently insufficient data to make a conclusion about the safety of the vaccine in subpopulations such as children less than 18 years of age, pregnancy and lactating individuals, and their infants, and immunocompromised individuals. The FDA review of a combined developmental and perinatal and postnatal reproductive toxicity study of AD26-CoV-2S in female rabbits concluded that AD26-CoV-2S given prior to mating and during gestation periods at dose of 1 times 10 to the 11th of viral particle, 2 times the human dose, did not have any effects on female reproduction, fetal / embryonal development of postnatal development. Adverse reactions that are very uncommon or require longer follow-up to be detected following authorization of the vaccine use in large numbers of individuals may reveal additionally potentially less frequent and or more serious adverse events not detected in the trial population, or approximately 20,000 vaccine recipients over the period of following at this time. Active and passive safety surveillance will continue during the post-authorization period to detect new safety signals. Vaccine-enhanced disease available data do not indicate a risk of vaccine-enhanced disease, and conversely suggest effectiveness against a severe disease within the available follow-up period. However, risk of vaccine-enhanced disease over time, potentially associated with waning immunity, remains unknown and needs to be evaluated further in the ongoing clinical trials and observational studies that could be conducted to authorization. Like, I know I'm almost done because these are the ones I stopped decorating. That's all, trying to hurry up. This one, yeah, that's it. And these are my sources. So we got the source for the latter inference here. And then this is the document, the vaccines related biological products adverse advisory committee meeting on February 26th from the FDA briefing document from Janssen 8026-CoV-2S vaccines for prevention of COVID-19, sponsored by Janssen Biotech. This is what you call an APA in tech citation. You know what I'm saying? Learned that in my schooling. You know what I'm saying? But this is the lady, the epidemiologist right here, Caitlin Jetlina from your local epidemiologist, and this is the link to her evaluation of the data. And that's it right there, player. It's a wrap.
All right, man. Appreciate that demonstration. So what we're going to do is I'm going to wrap this up right here, and we're going to end the show, and then we'll be back in like 2 and 2.
Log in to KofiPaisaTV.com and get Spears of the Mossy Volume 1 by Kofi Paisa Research Team, from Spears the Pen Volume 2 by Kofi Paisa Research Team, Spiritual Combat Volume 3 by Kofi Paisa Research Team, One Night Before Bed by Any Harret Shawn Calfunny, Kalawa's Trip to the Motherland by Kofi Paisa, From Cocaine to Consciousness by Any Harret Shawn Calfunny, As I Learned, We All Learn by Kofi Paisa. Also, if you want fresh merch, go to our online store, Family Connect Apparel, and get all the brands. Also, get our 54 deck of quiz and educational cards available now on KofiPaisaTV.com.